Good morning, Piscator pals. I'm back once again to the glorious Anglers Paradise here in Devon. Today, I'm fishing the Trout Lake, just behind me there, and it looks absolutely beautiful. There's not a lot of wind, so you can see a few of the fish moving around, some fantastically beautiful coloured trout. I've had a quick look around to see what's going on. I'm down here at the moment. I'm celebrating my 40th year rotating the sun on this ball of rock we call planet Earth, with one of my friends, an everyday angler, Aaron Chuck. But he's over the other side doing some filming as well. We're going to split up a little bit today and try and target a few trout. Now, I figured I've been fishing for, well over 30 years, maybe even 35 years now coming up. I remember fishing when I was a really small child for a certain species of fish, the trout, with my dad when I was a kid. So back down to the Trout Lake again to kind of complete the cycle almost, as it were, in my mind. However, today I am going to be using this bit of kit, a fly rod, doing a bit of fly fishing. Now, I've been fishing all that time and I've never ever picked up a fly rod in my life. I've never fly fished. I don't know why I've never done it. I guess in the back of my mind I've always seen it as a really expensive way of fishing. But over the years, with various carp fishing and float fishing and feeder fishing, in fact not long ago I went through all of my fishing gear that I own, and it totaled up roughly to about £40,000 worth of gear I've managed to accrue over my time angling. And I thought, you know, that's a lot of expensive stuff for coarse fishing gear, so I may as well just bite the bullet and do a bit of fly fishing. This is brand spanking new, came from Sportfish. It's just one of those kits you buy. It's just all set up, all the lines on there. I've got a little somewhere here in my pocket, a little pocket for the flies and a little tub, the Passion Piscator branded tub. I've got glorious set of flies. I couldn't tell you what any of the names are. This little one I picked up only a couple of days ago, a mouse. I think that's more for like pike fishing, chub maybe, perch, but who knows. Got some, I couldn't tell you what a dry fly is or what a wet fly is. I don't have a clue. I honestly have done no research at all, on purpose, mind you. I could have done all the research under the world, but on purpose I want this to be almost a complete disaster. I want to go in completely fresh, completely new, and see if I can winkle a trout out just with, well, I say completely fresh, just with the knowledge maybe I've picked up from watching John Wilson on the television, Jack Hargraves and various other anglers, Matt Hayes, you know, all those fishing programs you see on the TV, you know, Paul Whitehouse, and watching them do it. See if any of the information I've absorbed through the television programs has lodged its way into this old Piscator brain of mine. I understand fish pretty well, so watching the fish and seeing their movements is definitely on the cards. I'm just looking now actually, again, Captain Distraction as I always am, looking to see what fly life is flying around. I might even sweep a net through some of the sedges in a minute to see what bugs and things come up and try and match, because matching the hatch is definitely something I know about. Try and match some of my flies to some of the bugs which are flying around here to see what they might be feeding on. Anyway, the old current bun is coming out now, so the first thing I'm going to do before anything else is put on some suntan lotion so I don't crisp. Set this up and see if I can figure out what on earth. Literally, this hasn't been opened. Let's see if I can figure out how to put it all together. Pop a little fly on the end, and hopefully, please catch my first ever trout fly fishing. Let's see how it goes. Well, I've had a little sweep through the sedges just along that edge there. Not many bugs flying around. I did notice a few like damselflies and things. I've got nothing that would represent them really. Maybe something with like a little bit of a sheen to it, maybe like a little bit of I don't know, like glittery. But there were a few crane flies. It's sort of autumn now, and there's a few crane flies, the old daddy long legs. Some of these little guys here might be quite good with the little legs on. maybe sort of like that one or that one there. I couldn't tell you what their names are. They all came in like packs. I know some of these like Adams flies. I've used some of them before, just like coarse gear, having a go at catching fish on them. If push comes to shove, I've got like a little maggot and some sort of dog biscuity ones. I don't know if they'd like that. Some weird sort of blobs. I've got some, I know what these are, of course. Where are we? I don't know if you can see that on there with 2 bobbles on. There we are. I know they're boobies, because that's one of the favourite things about fishing. Using words like getting your tackle out, grabbing hold of your rod, and using some boobies are always very fun things, especially down the bar here. You can always have a good giggle with the Anglers Paradise crew that are here. It's got one that looks a bit bloodwormy. I haven't managed to get into the water a bit, but again, I'd imagine some of these are like dries because they're quite fluffy, but who knows? And these little tiny sort of bugs, if I see in the water any sort of buzzers happening and going on, I'll pop a few of them on. Again, not really sure, but matching the hatch is the way to go. So I think I might start with one of these crane fly looking ones. Oh, there's also been a few little moths, little white sort of grass moths amongst there. So something white, maybe something like this guy here, with a little bit of white to it. I don't know. I think it's going to be chopping and changing, moving a few things around. If push comes to shove, there's always Mr. Mouse. No, there's no time for it, I suppose, except, oh, my fly just fell out then, to get the rod set up, attempt to try and see if I can get one of these on, and catch some glorious trout, hopefully. Please, just one, please. So, I'm sweating already. What do I know from memory about fly fishing? Firstly, one of the things I do know is to wear a hat. I think especially with me doing fly fishing for the first time ever, the fly flicking back and forth, it's going to be hitting me in the back of my head. So if it hits me in the hat, I think I'll be a little bit safer. If it hits me in the head, I'm going to have to try and prise hooks out the back of my skull. Next thing I know is the 10 and 2, 2 and 10, I'm not sure what they call it. And that's like the hands of a clock. So you take it to 10 o'clock, back to 2 o'clock, 10 o'clock, back to 2 o'clock. Now, there is a timing element to that, which I have completely forgot or have no memory of, where you keep it there for a moment and then bring it forward. But we shall see. I'll probably be thrashing away like a mad thing to begin with, but hopefully, with a bit more practice, I'll be able to flick a little fly out. What's the fly I've gone for? It's like a little daddy long legsy jobby thing, but it's a bit of a crimp in the line. Actually, I had a bit of trouble putting it on. I'm used to just tying a hook on. You know, just tying a hook is fine. When you're trying to get the line through all that fluff, it's a bit of a hassle. Anyway, I think one of the things I will have to keep an eye on is this weighted fly line. As it's just done, it was all the line was hanging off the tip of the rod, but as the weighted backing is heavier, of course, it's all just dragged it right the way through. So now my fly is caught around the top ring of this this rod, so I'm gonna have to keep an eye on that. Anyway, I'm gonna film myself doing a bit of fluff jacking, seeing what sort of mess I get into, and see what happens. There's a load of brambles here and sedges in this particular swim I'm in, and I am 100% sure I'm going to be catching them in a minute, but we'll give it a go. Of course, another rule is to put on the polarized sunglasses. These take the sheen off the top of the water, so if I do see any fish, at least I can target them. I've actually had a little wander around this morning, first thing this morning, and seen a few trout moving around to see if it was worth coming down so early in the morning, whether it was worth just coming down later on in the evening. If there's trout moving around, there's every chance of me catching them. Right, I'm a bit nervous, I'm a bit wary. I'm not used to having a rod handle above the reel. Normally, of course, I'm grabbing below with a course, but having it above is a bit of a pain, and I've got to get used to stripping the line down rather than actually using the reel itself. Anyway, there's no time like the present. Let's see what sort of a mess I can get into with this. Right, so first of all, let me get a hang of doing just a simple flick like that. Yeah, that's instantly wrong because I'm not doing the 2 till 10 as I told myself. I've got to look to, of course, to see 2 o'clock, 10 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 10 o'clock. wish I knew the timings. Maybe I have to hold it back a bit. 2, 10. Again, 2 till 10. I'm saying it, but I'm not doing it. 2, 10. No, 2, 10. Still not 10. 2. Apparently I don't know clocks. 2, 2, 10. Yeah, you've got to wait. You've got maybe not so quick. Maybe not 2:10. 2:10. 2. 10. Whoa! That almost hit me in the head, yeah. So I need to give a little push for the last. Oh. Well, that just tangled around the rod. And it lands in a heap. Right. More practice. That's all it is. Practice makes perfect, and patience makes fish on the bank. I tell you what I have managed to catch is a load of grass and clover from the grass behind me. Yeah, it's not as easy as it looks. I'll tell you that for nothing. Obviously, more practice would have been absolutely the right thing to do. Going somewhere, getting some tuition off of someone, and learning how to do it properly. But actually, when I first started fishing, coarse fishing, I didn't have any of the experience. When I first started coarse fishing on my family lakes, Ashmore lakes, I used to spot the fish, which were rudd, so all I knew that was in there. Put a really, really short line on because I knew they were on the surface. A float, a bit of sweet corn, double granny knot to tie the knot because I had no idea about knots. And cast to the fish I knew and just learned from there. I learned how to unhook barbed hooks, which is what I used to use a lot of back in the day. I learned how to keep fish. I learned how to care for them. I learned how to cast. I learned how to do all of my fishing without any help at all. Although my dad did help a little bit, of course, but he didn't know much about coarse fishing, so I had to learn it from everything I possibly could. Watch TV programs and magazines through the years. So I've watched a fair few TV programs. I've read a fair few magazines over the years, but not a lot of it is obviously sunk in. There's probably fantastic fly anglers out there watching me and think just rolling their eyes and putting their hands in their head and probably switched off like ages ago. Probably about 5 minutes into the show, they probably switched off and thought, no, I can't watch this. But this is how a lot of people end up trying these things and learning things. And the point of today was just have a bit of a laugh. Could make a complete mess of myself, which I've done. I'm getting the line tangled around the rod, getting stuck in trees. Haven't managed to hook myself yet. I want people to see what a disaster this is going to be for me. With the idea that if I do enjoy it, and if I'm getting into it, I will go and find someone to teach me how to fly fish, and what I'm doing wrong and what I'm doing right. And perhaps in another passionate piscator video, come down and actually be competent, semi-competent, average, less than bad, actually be less than bad or less than awful at fly fishing. But, practice makes perfect, as I always say. Patience brings fish to the bank. So you never know. I'm going to keep flicking away with this little damsel. I've had it actually, because I can see with the Polaroids, I've seen a few fish moving around, and one or two have actually turned their head to look at my my fly and they completely ignore it. But if I'm turning their heads, that's a good thing, right? Surely, maybe. Who knows? Anyway, I'm going to do some thrashing away. This is really just for practice. I'm not really intending to catch a trout just yet. This is just practice. And then, when I feel a bit more confident later on, maybe, that is when the true fishing is going to come in. I'm going to start moving around the lake, spotting fish, rising and moving around, keeping an eye on all the fly life, because as I went round earlier, it was still early in the morning. Later on in the day, some of the other flies will start flying around, and there's plenty flying around now. and see if I can see them. Maybe net a few, have a good look at them. There's a few blue bottles, green bottle flies about. I don't know if they would be something the trout would certainly eat if they fell on the water. Of course they would, but yeah, maybe something with a little bluey sheen to it, who knows. But if all else fails, I do have a few orangey lures, which here at Anglers Paradise, where most of the fish are golden and bright orange, they do home in on them. Anyway, I'm going to keep thrashing away. You don't have to keep watching it. It's a disaster. I know it is. I've already made a mess of a line talking to you here. The fly's now caught in the tip. Just holding a rod straight. It's already done it. What a disaster. Oh, my word. Well, let's keep going. Let's just keep going. Oh no. It's behind me, wherever it is. I've hooked a thing. Oh, right to an 8. Let's find out where this is. Wind, wind, wind. It's flicked back perfectly, and now it's caught on. More clover. Fantastic. Let's untie that. Oh man. Well, unsurprisingly, I've had no fish yet. However, I've been doing this for about an hour now, I should think, flicking it back and forth, and actually now I think I'm getting into the swing of it. I'm casting out. Sometimes it's still landing in a big heap on top of the water, but the fantastic thing about this fly fishing is that if it does, flick it back out, and wait till it lands, presents perfectly. And actually I'm getting a little bit better at it now. I really enjoy how you have to strip the lie down and it goes onto the ground. You can gradually flick it out in stages. It's very forgiving in that sense. If you were coarse fishing with a bait and you cast out, wherever the bait lands is where the bait's going to land, isn't it? You don't really have much. If you want to, you can bring it in and recast it, but you haven't really got a lot of leeway. But with this, you can just flick around and move around in different areas. I've had a couple more trout take an interest in what I'm doing, probably looking up at me and thinking, what is he doing? But that's great. I'm just watching an everyday angler further down. He's changed flies. I've mostly kept with the same fly, that little sort of daddy long legs damsel fly thing, not damsel, crane fly sort of affair, because it's sort of a white colour and I can see what it's doing. If I put a darker one on, I'm not going to be able to see what's happening. But I've been looking around. A few trout have been rising here and there, but not many. So I'm tempted to actually start going for the trout now. This whole time I've really not been trying to catch a trout, and just been trying to get the method of casting sort of down, not down to a T, but at least down to a fairly competent level, which I think I've almost got, apart from catching a bit of clover behind me every now and then. I haven't caught any of these brambles so far, so I'm pretty happy with that at the minute. But yeah, a few trout have been rising out over here, which is way too far for me to fly cast at my skill level. But I was just thinking, one of the most important things to remember, of course, is the same things to remember as your coarse fishing, is approach the water from quite far away, because there could be fish right down in the margins. And indeed this morning when we went round and had a bit of a look round, there were trout moving around in the margins. So I'm going to change swims now. This one's been thrashed to within an inch of its life with me practicing, but I'm going to change swims now, approach the water really carefully and from a distance, keeping my Polaroids sunglasses on so I can see if there's any fish in the margins, and rather than sort of fly casting straight away, maybe just do a little flick into the margins to see if I can poach out a trout like that. I'm going to keep the same fly on when I change swims, but I will be changing up flies more often now. I'm going to go through these bushes and see what other insects I can find, see if I can match that. I might even, in this swim as I'm leaving it, I might just sweep the net through the water, see if there's anything underwater which the trout might be targeting. So there's been a few rises, but not many. So maybe having a more wet fly, if I can figure out which of my flies are wet flies or dry flies, would actually be more beneficial for catching a trout. But anyway, got all day. It's got to go somewhere, right? If not, it's a good learning experience, and actually I'm really enjoying it. I was a bit worried, I spent this money on a rod and all these flies, am I going to enjoy it? it's really enjoyable. It's actually, when you get into the motion of the casting particularly, it's really, really peaceful. It gives you that sort of ebb and flow, and like the ebb and flow of the water, and it's actually very peaceful, except when I start hooking clover. Right, I've moved swims now, just one swim along. I've really disturbed that swim with all my practicing. But now I'm going to have a real go at it. Is that what you say? I don't know. I'm going to have a real good try at trying to catch a trout now. I'm going to see if I can spot some fish. I've seen some moving a bit further down this way. The breeze has picked up a little bit here, so it's actually become quite a bit more difficult for me to cast, especially as a brand new angler to this. I'm sure the experts will be like, a bit of breeze, no issue. But for me, it's made it a little bit more difficult. In the swim, I've got a weird little tuft just there, which I'm 100% likely to catch. I've got some more, they're not bulrushes, they're reed mace. I always get them confused. People always say bulrushes for the rushes with the great big stalks on them. They're not bulrushes, they're reed maces. There's a few more reed mace about for me to hook as well, which is going to be great. I've still got the same fly on, as I say. I'm going to keep going at that for a little bit, but I think, as there's not many rising, I'm going to change it to find one which sinks in the water a little bit, a bit later. Anyway, I'm going to start approaching, see if I see anything, and flick this guy out. Again, it's a bit ungainly. I'm not sure how people move around with this stuff, really. You know what I do? I'll grab that again, because what happens is if I leave it like that, because this is weighted, this starts sinking down, and then the fly ends up right on the tip. Don't quite know what to do about that. I'm sure a fly angler would be like, what are you doing? This is what you do, clearly. But anyway, let's have a go. Let's do a bit of sneaking. Excitement, guys. I hooked a fish. I mean, the fact I'm not showing you a fish gives you some idea as to what happened. It came off. I was fully unprepared for actually hooking one, and I went straight to the reel, and of course I had all this backing on the floor, and it was on for like maybe about 30 seconds, and then I managed to lose it. I managed to not keep the line tight enough. But that's a good bit of practice as to what I will need to do. I have no doubt that if I do catch a few fish, or hook a few fish I should say, I have no doubt I'm going to be losing quite a few fish as well, because I'm just inexperienced of how to hook them. Anyway, it was exciting. Something I'm doing is right. Fantastic. I'm going to give it a few more casts here. Obviously the fly is still going. This is still the same fly. I haven't even changed it, but still practicing. But the fly is obviously right because the fish has taken it. Give it a bit more. But excitement. I've just got to learn how to deal with the weighted line, the weighted backing, and how to land these fish in. If I can hook them, that's only a very small part of the problem. Next bit is trying to get them in. Got my box out, the old Bible. Alright, put that one back in there. I'm done with that one. Fish seem to be moving towards that one. That was like a little green sinking doodah. Don't know what it is. But we're just not going for it. We're not content with what I'm giving them. I really just don't know. I've tried a few different flies now. I've been looking around at the things, and I've tried some of the darker ones I've tried some of the bright orange ones just for fun. The fish are moving to strike into them, but they turn at the last minute. The only one I had really good luck on actually catching was that daddy, but I've got a slightly bigger one there, which I might try now actually. But I'm tempted to try like one of these boobies, or one of these blobs, one of these bright ones here. I mean, the water's pretty clear, so they don't have any trouble seeing the flies, but they're just not really happy about taking the flies, which is a bit of a pain in the bum. How's my skill level? Well, I would say I've gone all the way from incompetent to buffoon. Definitely buffoon. Sometimes I'm casting absolutely perfectly, but another time it just bangs, fish, blah blah, tangle, caught in a bramble, caught in a tree, caught in a twig. But I guess that's all part and parcel of learning how to fish, I guess. Anyway, my confidence levels, I will admit, have dipped somewhat, despite actually managing to sort of get attention of fish and actually managing to hook one. It's been a little while. The sun's come out now. It's really, really bright. It's really hot. It's put the fish sort of down in the water, I think, rather than up. I don't think trout particularly like light going into rise. It makes it difficult for them to hunt. But I'm going to go back to trying another surface fly now and see if that helps. That's pretty good for an amateur. Switch that back. Any movement of any fish? Yeah, that's another good cast. Not very professional, I'm absolutely 100% sure, but yeah. This is peaceful though. That's one thing this is. I really appreciate how peaceful and calm this sort of fishing is. So the ebb and flow of casting in and out and in and out. I could get into this. I'm not really much of a trout angler. That's the problem with me. I do tend towards the coarse fish, as you'll notice from the majority of my videos. I do target trout sometimes, but usually on coarse fishing gear, which is why this is completely new and different to me. This is much more like lure fishing. I don't do a lot of lure fishing either, really, to be honest. I like lure fishing, but whenever I go lure fishing, don't have a go at me, lure anglers. Whenever I go lure fishing, I always think, I wish I had a worm or a dead bait, do you know? But I do, don't get me wrong, I do enjoy it. I just don't do it as much. Maybe if I did it more, I'd get better at it. And I'd actually catch more fish and realise that there are circumstances where lure fishing far outshines the bait fishing. Although of course variety is the spice of life, and sticking to just one type of fishing, although enjoyable, you can get much more enjoyment out of trying different things and having a go at different things. And who knows, you know, after maybe, this is my first time fly fishing, maybe after a bit of tuition, a bit more practice, I'll actually really be a really good fly angler. I mean, today isn't that day, as is made evident. I've just tangled my reel at that very moment. Right, all of the gear and no idea has paid off with perseverance and luck. A rather scrawny looking rainbow trout, but whoa, jumpy, absolutely fantastic. Took a sort of a damselfly, no, not damselfly, I keep saying damselfly, a crane fly looking fly right off the surface, fairly close into the margins there as well. Lovely, lovely fish. Whew. Anyway, they can't stay out of the water too long. I'll give him a kiss and pop him back. It's great. All fishing is great. Perfect for peace of mind. I know a lot of anglers enjoy fly fishing, and although I have no idea what I'm doing, I am really, really enjoying this. I've actually been contemplating using this very same setup and rod for some carp fishing, actually, maybe some rudd fishing. I think rudd fishing would be absolutely magnificent, and I'm dying to have a go at some rudd fishing with this. I'm using little teeny tiny little patterns on the top, little gnats and things like that. I think I may have caught the bug, you know, guys, the fly fishing bug. Crikey, what a hot day. God, look at my face, I'm like a bleeding tomato. Bleeding tomato, you can make a salad out of me. That was absolutely roasting. Look at the sweat. It's not really time to go home. We've still got another 3 hours of the day, but I am toasted, absolutely toasted. The fish, there's no movement in the lake at all. Not a single ripple. I think the fish have just decided it's far too hot for them, and that's it. They're done. But my first foray into fly fishing, have I enjoyed it? Put that down there. Yes, it's been absolutely amazing. I've really, really enjoyed it. Seeing the fish react to the fly as it hits the water, learning how to cast a fly, although, as I say, many of you will say, you didn't really learn how to cast a fly because we've been watching you and it's been an absolute disaster. And don't get me wrong, there have been plenty of disasters. Oh, a lot of disasters, in fact. Oh, so many little wind knots and the line down by the hook. I've had to cut the line and put the new fly on. Getting tangled up around the tip, catching all the grass behind me. I've caught a few trees, I've caught a few brambles, I've caught a few twigs. But you know, for a first time, I think that was pretty good. Started off a disaster, but actually, towards the end, I was starting to feel confident in my fly casting technique. Whether it was the correct technique, I don't know, but I was feeling confident. And to catch fish on the first time of me doing it, and to, you know, succeed, I think that's pretty good. Well done me, I think. From here on in, I am going to learn how to fly fish properly. The whole idea of today was to be just go into it blind and sort of relive my childhood of learning how to fish on my own without any help and see if I can figure it out in my mind. And obviously there was some success to that. Will I continue? Of course I will. Will I be trying to catch some coarse fish on it? Of course I will. I'll be getting some carp on it, no doubt, and I really want to do some rudd fishing with it and come back here, definitely, to catch some more trout. Maybe try trout fishing on a river, some other lakes nearby. Got to get some more leaders for sure. Anyway, thank you very much for joining me here on the Trout Lake at Anglers Paradise. I'm going to stagger up the hill and have something to eat and have a bit of a rest, get some after sun on. And like this video if you've liked it. Subscribe to my channel. There's loads of other videos on there from Anglers Paradise and from all other places. Thank you for joining me. See you next time. Bye.